bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high level elites.
By the way, Jeffrey Epstein, I'm just saying. Hey everyone, welcome to Bold Reflections. My name is Jasmine, and today I am reacting to the new box office hit, The Sound of Freedom. But first, I want to show you guys a news segment from CNN. Here we have CNN actively disparaging two American heroes who are trying to get the message out about one of the most disgusting things that is happening in our world right now: child sex trafficking. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
And you seem pretty familiar with him because he doesn't really hide his association with this real wild plot that involves, drinking the blood of children and things like that.
Okay, so first of all, they're talking about Tim Ballard, either Tim Ballard or the man who plays Tim Ballard in the movie, whose name is Jim Caviezel. And they, because of the nature of their work, or at least Tim Ballard's work with his rescue missions for these trafficking rings to rescue children out of them, he has discussed about some of the practices that go on in some of these places in the world where they will do child ritualistic sacrifices, drinking blood of children. And this is, I guess, what they're trying to allude to here.
No, he doesn't hide it at all. And you have a lot of people who are in this world of QAnon who say, oh, they don't know what that is. They've never heard of it. They're just asking questions. With somebody like Jim Caviezel, he is openly embracing it. He's openly using its catchphrases and its concepts. He's speaking at QAnon conventions. And this film is being marketed to either specific QAnon believers or to people who believe all of the same tenets as QAnon, but claim they don't know what it is.
And The Sound of Freedom does focus on a real issue of sex trafficking. But that theme, it's sort of like that kernel of truth that feeds the QAnon conspiracy theory. Tell us how those two things work together.
Sure. And the most durable and the most believable conspiracy theories are not entirely false. There's something in them that is true and the rest of it is false. But the believers point to the one true thing and they say, oh, you don't believe that this particular thing is true. In terms of child trafficking, we know trafficking is real. We know it has real victims. No one is denying that. But these films are created out of moral panics. They're created out of bogus statistics. They're created out of fear. And with something like Sound of Freedom, it specifically is looking at QAnon concepts of these child trafficking rings that are run by the high level elites, and only people like Tim Ballard and only people like Jim Caviezel, and by extension only people like the ticket buyer, can help bring these trafficking rings down. So there's a very participatory element. You're not just going to see a movie, you're just killing 2 hours on a hot day. You are helping bring down these pedophile rings and save children. Now, it's not true, but it's a very comforting and it's a very warm feeling to have.
Ugh, cringy. It's so cringy. I can't even, like, why would you want to disparage someone? Which, by the way, correct me if I'm wrong, but QAnon is supposed to be referring to people who believe that the top level elites in our society, whether that's the Western society or global elites, are participating in these creepy pedophilic behaviors. By the way, Jeffrey Epstein, I'm just saying, guys, like, are we ever going to see the black book on that? Did he not have a island where he was trafficking children and blackmailing his high-level clients? No? Oh, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. It blows my mind how anyone would hear the story of Tim Ballard and watch this movie, or not watch this movie, but even just know about the subject matter and claim that they are QAnon adjacent for pointing out the very real nature of one of the most evil practices in our world. The left-wing media is constantly going on and on and on about racism and hammering on past grievances against the Black community via slavery. And yet slavery, the evil practice that they so condemn, is literally happening right now. Children are being sold by the millions to satisfy the sexual debauchery of these rich people who can afford it. I'm not saying they're the elites, but who else would they be? I want to watch the trailer to this movie to see what is so scary about the movie that CNN just has to mouth off about it and smear it. Wouldn't it be easier if they would just be quiet about something they didn't want people to see? But instead they go as far as trying to smear them. And therefore, I'm much more interested in what the message is about this movie. So without further ado, let's go ahead and watch this trailer. If you have already seen it, then let people know what you think down in the comment section.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
It is the fastest growing international crime network that the world has ever seen. It has already passed the illegal arms trade, and soon it's gonna pass the drug trade. Because you can sell a bag of cocaine one time with a child 5 to 10 times a day. God's children are not for sale.
By the way, this footage right here, the surveillance camera footage, that's real. Those are real kids being kidnapped.
How long you been doing this?
12 years now.
How many pedophiles you got?
288.
How many kids you found?
Timoteo, tú rescatas niños, ¿verdad? ¿Puedes ayudarme a encontrar a mi hermana?
Te lo prometo.
For Homeland Security, you know we can't go off rescuing Honduran kids in Colombia.
Which means she'll disappear for good. Imagine walking into a room right now, seeing an empty bed. What we do?
You quit your job and you go and rescue those kids.
So at this moment, she could be a block down the road, or she could be in Moscow, Bangkok, LA. She's a major operator.
It's all rebel territory. No one goes in. Not the army, not the police, not us.
What if this was your daughter?
There's no Marine unit coming.
You're on your own. This job tears you to pieces. And this is my one chance to put those pieces back together.
When God tells you what to do, you cannot hesitate.
How can you see something like this pointing to a real problem and dismiss it as QAnon conspiracy on CNN? It makes me really look at you with disdain and with contempt and with high suspicion. I find it very strange that the man in the first video who was disparaging the men who worked on this film, I find that very weird. Why are you defending such a practice? Or like basically writing them off as if what they're saying is just a giant conspiracy to coax the Republican base into being anti-democrat. I don't know what the presumption is. I don't know. Everyone is a conspiracy theorist, even though this is literally the largest operation of slavery in existence. Much more victims than any other practice of slavery in world history. Millions of children are being affected by this. It is terrifying, especially when you have little ones. You know, it just, I'm almost afraid to watch this video because I don't know if I can deal with the emotions and just the reality of it. But as I challenged you in the last video, but in the last video, I challenged my viewers to stare at the face of evil while we discussed Demi Lovato's new song Swine. I had a video playing of an animated depiction of abortion because this is what she's championing in the song. And even though it's hard to look at, we need to understand the gravity of what abortion is. So that was the challenge that I proposed to the viewers. And here is the other challenge that I will propose to the viewers. And I myself will be taking this challenge. We need to see this movie. We need to feel the emotions that are associated with this heinous, heinous crime. Why is it that our elites in this country are pushing things like abortion, things like, why is it that the mainstream is so adamant about pushing things like pornography in schools? They're pushing things like, oh, it's totally fine to bring children to kinky pride parades. Why is it okay for our entire society, our entire mainstream society, to support the practice of transitioning children, push it through every element of society, whether that's in schools, whether that's via a presidential message, whether that's via mainstream media, like legacy media like CNN, constantly disparaging anyone who has questions about this movement. It's because people are perverted and disgusting and they want to transition children for their own gratification, whether that is monetary gratification, whether it is social gratification, because, you know, accepting the narrative of the day is socially expedient. And there are people who take children and want to abuse them, and some of them happen to want to abuse children who are transitioned. It is a kink, it is a perversion, and it's a symptom of this much larger problem, which is pedophilia at large. The rapidly growing defense and acceptance of pedophiles in our society, wanting to call them MAPs instead of pedos. By the way, MAPs, if you don't know, minor attracted persons. They're defending these creeps, these creepy weirdos who coax your children online and try to establish relationships. By the way, maybe we all need to go back and watch some of the episodes of, what was that show called? To Catch a Predator with Chris Hansen. I think we all need to be reminded that that is a thing that happens a lot. And weirdly enough, by the way, if you didn't know this, the United States is the #1 consumer demand of child sex rings. What does that say about our sick and disgusted and twisted society? What are we doing, and why is this happening? I have my opinions about this, by the way. I really truly believe that the existence of free, legal, highly accessible pornography from a very, very young age is highly contributing to this issue. Not that I am saying that people who watch pornography are all pedophiles. That's not true. But we are creating this addictive element for more and more and more people. And as that adrenaline, those first hits of adrenaline happen when you watch a pornographic film, the hits of adrenaline become less and less effective. So you have to watch more and more depraved material. You spread out from there. It's like Pandora's box in a way. This is why we're seeing things in our society like transgenderism and many other disgusting kinks. I know I was kind of rambling there, but I have lots of feelings about this, and I didn't script this video. Actually, I don't really script any of my videos, but I think that's all I have to say about this right now. I encourage everyone to watch this video. Watch it in the theaters if you can. Oh, and by the way, isn't it weird that this film was actually created 5 years ago, and it was made by, I believe, Fox before the Disney acquisition, so then Disney owned it and kept not wanting to release it, and so they got bought out by, I believe, Angel Studios is the one that is actually in ownership of the film now. So very weird. What's up, Disney? What's up with that? I have some questions, Disney. That's very weird. That's very weird. Among all the other weird things that you guys are up to lately. Highly suspicious. All right, guys, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as always, God bless.